Hi, good day, and welcome to another edition of AEA Insights with me, Daniel Odro. Today, we're going to, change our strategy a bit. Today, we're going to be doing common myths about the power and the energy sector, and I've got my expert here, who is going to confirm or debunk the myths that we know. We ordinary citizens and civilians do not know the accurate information. So the experts, the engineers, will tell us whether what we commonly believe are true or not. Today, my guest is engineer Jabesh Amissah-Arthur. He's managing partner for Arthur Energy Africa and is joining us for this conversation. Sir, thank you very much for your time.
Thank you.
You look very good in your fugu.
Thank you.
These days, you're going more northern.
Yes.
That's good to know. So today, we'll do more of education, but we'll do common myths about the power and then the energy sector. Hopefully, you're able to debunk or confirm some of them for us.
I'll do my best.
Okay, so we'll do. It's more of a quick fire one. So, this is very common. They say turning off the appliances will stop all power consumption. Is that correct?
Yes, turning off an appliance stops all power consumption. Although very many of the appliances these days have a standby mode.
Okay.
And in the standby mode, their consumption really drops to a very low level.
Okay.
So you don't actually consume very much you have to look at every appliance in the standby mode, how much of it is consuming, but at least switching it off also protects you in case there's a surge in voltage.
Okay. All right. They say the grid can't handle more renewable energy. Is that correct?
At some point the grid will not be able to handle more, but at the current levels I think that there's still more room for more renewables.
Okay.
But beyond a certain point, in integrating additional renewables will become challenging and there will be costs involved.
Okay. Let's stay with the renewables. There's this common myth that solar and wind power are too unreliable to power a modern economy.
Directly, that is true, because you can imagine that when there's cloud cover, the solar will not be able to produce the level it's producing, and then in the night it will not be there for you. There's the same intermittency challenge with wind as well, and then but there are ways to provide stable power from it, only that it comes with some cost.
Yeah.
If you, for instance, you can have batteries that will step in when these ones are not producing, then you can have a stable one. But the costs have in the past been very high to incorporate batteries in it. But the good news is that the cost of batteries are coming down, and so it is going to be even more possible going forward.
Okay. Let's move to fossil fuels as baseload power. They say coal is dying everywhere in the world.
That is a notion that there's a move against coal, but there are new technologies for burning coal in a clean coal environment, and probably they will also come up, and coal may not die totally, because the fact is that if a country has that resource and you push it against the wall, it will have to use that.
Natural gas is a clean energy source.
Natural gas is cleaner than most energy sources. Yes, that is true. Relatively is correct to say that. Yeah.
All right. Smart grids are only for developed countries.
Smart grids are not only for developed countries. They can be for us as well, because the smart grid is the one that also gives information back to the network as what's happening at its end.
Oh, okay. Do we have it in Africa?
I believe that there'll be somewhere in Africa, at least on a pilot basis.
Okay. Blackouts are mostly caused by renewable energy instability.
That is not true. That is not true.
Okay.
Blackouts are typically caused by unexpected events in the network, in the power network. Quite often, they have to do with the generation a problem with a big generator, but that is usually solvable. The problem is also can also arise from a transmission problem. Let's say the last time some of these happened, it was because a tipper truck had gone to tip sand and it had forgotten to lower its bucket and was driving away, and it drove into a line and crossed a shortage. So it can happen from many things, quite often human actions that did not anticipate it.
Okay. What about the notion that investing in green energy will cost jobs?
No, it will rather create jobs.
Okay.
Green energy tends to require a lot more human intervention and labor.
Okay. If I install a solar panel, I can go completely off grid easily.
If you install the panels and if you add sufficient batteries,
Okay.
you may be able to do that.
Okay. Sufficient batteries, which is going to work during the night.
Which is going to work during the night and during the evidence is that when there's cloud cover,
Yeah.
the solar production goes down. And the data I have looked at suggests that when it's raining, that's when the solar is at its lowest. And in the rainy season, the production really comes down from the solar.
Net metering means I get paid what the utility charges.
That was an earlier notion that didn't work. It didn't work. And so it's been revised. Ideally you get paid something, but it will not be one for one as had been initially thought. No.
Okay. Electric vehicles, they say it will crash the power grid.
Not directly. I don't expect that it will do that, because we see the recent data available suggests that quite often these electric vehicles are being charged in the night when the load would have or otherwise been low. Yes.
Okay. Anyway, nuclear power is the only realistic clean base load energy.
Nuclear power is fantastic base load energy because once you start the nuclear plant running, it typically doesn't shut down. It stays at full load and continues for years on end unless there's a problem. So yes, it's very stable base load, but whether it is considered clean or not, I think that different environmentalists have different views.
Okay. Energy efficiency, they say, is better investment than renewables.
Yes, energy efficiency is important everywhere and every time. Yes, energy efficiency is more important than renewables. There's no point in producing renewables if you are wasting it or using it inefficiently.
Okay. Hydrogen is overhyped as a clean energy solution.
I think the jury is out. I wouldn't say at the moment that it is generally used, but there are a few applications that are trying it out, and it's in the development stage. And we are yet to decide, the industry is yet to decide whether it is for the future or not.
Okay. Ghana no longer needs to, and now we're going to Ghana specific, I mean. Ghana no longer needs to import power because of gas from Jubilee and 10 fields.
We have not needed to import power for a long while. As the history is that since 1972, we have generally been an exporter of power to our neighboring countries.
Okay.
And except for 1 or 2 years when the Akosombo reservoir was low, we have not been a regular importer. We have been an exporter, and that has continued for several years. There's a question as to the level of exports that we do in any year, but net exporter, we have been stably since 1972.
Wow, that's very good. Thermal plants are old and inefficient and should be shut down.
That is not true. There are always improvements in thermal technology. And I would say that it's about time that Ghana, we upped our game regarding the efficiency of the thermal plants that we have. But it's not because they are old and they should be gotten rid of. No. We can't, right now, we can't do without them. They are producing more than 50% of our consumption.
Okay. What about the impression that if I use energy saving bulbs, my bill will be cut in half?
That is true. But as at now, that is true, especially from the time we were using the incandescent, the old bulbs,
Yeah.
to the times we started using compact fluorescent lights, and to now that most people are using LEDs. Using an inefficient lighting source cut your loads significantly.
Well, that's good to know. The Akosombo Dam can always meet Ghana's electricity needs.
No. That period is long past. By 1990, Akosombo couldn't meet our needs. In fact, it's even earlier. By 1980, 81, Akosombo couldn't meet our needs, and that's why we needed Pong.
Yeah.
And by 1990, even the two could not.
All Ghanaians pay the same electricity rate regardless of where they live.
Yes, there's a policy of uniform pricing. That is that for the same class of energy consumption, wherever you are in Ghana, you are supposed to pay the same. So that there's uniform pricing policy of government.
Oh, we always heard that the people who lived in the rural or the poorer areas paid less than those who lived in the
No.
elites.
No, the prices in Ghana are not based on location. They are based on the class of consumption. The same consumption, if you move from Accra to Wale Wale, you will pay the same.
And the classes are how many?
Well, it changes.
Okay.
There are people who are appealing for the classes to be reduced so that you only have lifeline level and then you have all the others.
But at least industrial ones are different. So
Industrial,
pricing.
residential is the same uniform. Industrial is a different class. And non-residentials too have their rates.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow, that's new. I always thought that those in the rural areas paid less.
If someone in the rural area paid less, it may be because his consumption was below the lifeline rate.
Wow. Ghana is wasting money by trying to meet renewable energy targets.
I think that in the early years of solar power, that was true. But right now, solar power and the energy from solar is, if you negotiate well, you get a better price for it, and it's better than some of the other sources, more competitive.
Okay. We've had a lot of debate about independent power producers. Independent power producers, they say, are bleeding the country dry.
That I can't say is true. They are not bleeding the country dry. What I think we as citizens are seeing is that we have moved from the era of hydro generation, and especially legacy hydro like Akosombo. That was very low. And now we are having to buy fuel. And with fuel, you have to pay the correct price. And you have to buy it every month at the going price of fuel. And so that's the challenge we are seeing. And I think that as Ghanaians, we are having a difficulty making that adjustment. That right now, dominant production is coming from thermal. And 80% of that cost is fuel cost. And so when fuel prices change, you have to change. And that is what we are seeing.
There was a question that ties into this answer that you gave about thermal plant. This question says, using Ghana's natural gas is always cheaper than importing power or fuel. We know we don't import power, so I mean that leaves us with the fuel angle. Now, Ghana's natural gas as against importing fuel.
It is, yes, that is true. It's cheaper, but some of us believe it could be significantly cheaper because we are pricing our indigenous gas using imported fuel as the benchmark. And we think that we are not doing ourselves many favors by doing that.
Rural areas can't get reliable electricity due to distance from the national grid.
Some areas, that is true. Some areas are struggling because the lines are so long that it begins to affect the reliability of the service. And two, some lines are so long, it affects the quality, that is the voltage that they are getting. So there are some of the communities that have been connected far away that are struggling with this. Yes, it's true.
Okay. Ghana has enough power generation, so Dumsor should be a thing of the past.
Dumsor is not just a question of generating plant. The last times that we have had Dumsor, it is because of fuel arrangements. I think that earlier this year we had a situation where there was Dumsor because the gas pipeline was under maintenance, or the gas processing plant was under maintenance, that kind of thing. So Dumsor is not just about generating plant. It's about the whole chain.
Okay. The next question is, electricity prices in Ghana are high because of corruption alone.
No, it is not. It is not corruption alone. As I've said, the biggest contributor to the price is the fuel cost. Yes, the procurement cost from the power plants also has an impact, but it's not solely that. The fuel cost too is part of it.
Okay. Renewable energy is not viable because it can't power heavy industries like mining.
Unless it can't power them, especially it can't power industries that are running round the clock, unless you make additional investments or it gets support from some other more stable base power.
Prepaid meters eliminate all forms of electricity theft.
False. A firm
But
false.
we believe that we are paying it forward. ECG should have more money to do more investments and shouldn't be complaining about revenue.
No, prepaid meters do solve the collection part of the problem.
Yeah.
But they do not solve all the problems that are to do with losses.
The theft part especially.
Yes, yes.
Okay.
They are crafty and intelligent people who are still finding ways to outwit these meters.
Wow. Human beings. Solar panels don't work well in Ghana because of dust and humidity.
During the dusty season, they don't work as well. But the data I've looked at suggests that dust is not the worst opponent. It's the rainy fall season.
Well, because of the dusty, there are people who wash their panels.
You are supposed to wash them
Them.
regularly.
Wow.
So that to maintain the high efficiency.
Ghana should go nuclear to meet future energy demands.
Yes, that Ghana should seriously consider nuclear energy because the level of consumption we have reached now, it's time for us to begin to introduce some serious nuclear energy. It can accommodate, the size of our network now can accommodate nuclear energy, and so we should look at that from the cost perspective. And as I said, because nuclear provides us a very stable base supply, it is time for us to seriously consider that and introduce it.
Solar mini grids are the future of rural electrification in Ghana.
Mini grids have become kind of the fashion now. And I am yet to have met a practitioner who has confirmed that these mini grids are working well. I think that they are in a development stage and it will take a little while for them to become stable.
Electricity tariffs go up every time there is a new government. Is that correct?
I think that factually it's probably correct, because what happens is that what happens, unfortunately, is that coming up to an election, the government in power resists all persuasions to make adjustments for the electricity tariffs. So a new government coming in and seeing the level of subsidy that the power sector is sucking, tries to reduce that by increasing the tariff. So the I think the history is correct.
Wow.
That many new governments, when they come in, they are compelled to try to make a tariff adjustment because the prior government may have been reluctant and therefore delayed.
They are afraid of people voting against them.
Because of the tariff. No, but for me, that is quite unfortunate because that's the reason that in 1997, 98, the PRC was set up to take away the political influence in tariff setting. That was the only reason PRC was created, to take government out
Right.
of tariff setting. But unfortunately, we see that we are back to the same point. Maybe we should figure out how to do this well so that the setting of tariffs for electricity and water is outside the ambit of the political arena.
Carbon emissions from Ghana's energy sector are negligible.
Yes, because compared to other states, we are not using we are using hydro, renewables, and then we are using gas predominantly. So those are not considered the worst offenders when it gets to carbon.
Ghana pays the highest electricity rates in West Africa.
Generally true.
Really?
I've heard enough people say that.
Wow. Lifeline tariffs are enough to meet the basic needs of poor households.
That's the reason it was set up. So it also depends on how you classify a poor household.
Well, all of Ghana's thermal plants run on locally produced gas.
Most of it.
Most of
We
it.
are still bringing in gas from Nigeria by the West African gas pipeline. So that is the only reason it's not 100% correct.
Okay. My last question is, when there is doom, so it's always ECG's fault.
No, that is not
correct.
true. Quite often, it's because there's a shortfall somewhere else. Although that shortfall could also be blamed on ECG, because ECG being a company and under the sector reform, ECG was supposed to make sure that it procures enough generation to meet its demand. And so when there isn't enough to meet the demand, you could blame ECG for not procuring enough supply to meet the demand that it has to fulfill. But sometimes too, it is because there's a problem somewhere else and it has affected them. Like I'm saying, the last major one that we had, it was from a tipper truck doing something in, was it around Tafo or somewhere there? And it caused the whole country to come down.
Interesting. Today we've learned a few things, and thank you very much for engaging with us, sharing with us some of your expert opinions on some of the commonly held beliefs that we, the uninitiated in the engineering field, hold very dearly in our country. This has been another edition of AEA Insights. Today my guest has been Engineer Jabesh Amissah-Arthur. He's the managing partner for Arthur Energy Africa. I hope you learned something from this episode. Very unusual style, but very, very educative, I believe. My name is Daniel Odro. Until next time, it's bye for now.